So, why should we rent before we want to own something? And at first, I used to believe that we should instantly start when it comes to homes anyway. Oh man, you should buy something because that's how we was raised, coming up was to, get the good job and buy a house and that was typical. That was, what we was raised. But I have learned especially in the last 3 years, that it's very important. Well, I'm gonna say in the last 5 years, that it's very important that we should own how we make our money, and we should rent where we lay our head. So if you had to pick which one to own first, you'll want to own your business. You'll want to own the way you make money, because you know that you can always, if you renting from a person, it's their responsibility to take care of something that you don't have to take care of. If you pay your rent or whatever your deal is, that person is going to make sure it's done because they want to get their finances. And if you paying good money, they going to make sure things are taken care of. Now, and another good thing about it, say if something come up, you can instantly leave. Boom, pow. You can jump over after a year, 6 months, whatever lease you pick, 2 years, and you can relocate. And you don't have to be tied down to a home where you got to figure out the sale. It might went bad. You might lost in this. So there is a lot of debt and risk involved in owning just a typical home. Now, if you're owning a multi-door home like duplexes, apartments, that's wise. That way you can be able to own that, and you can be able to live rent free even if you have three apartments and you stay in one and rent out two, or you stay in a duplex and you stay in one and rent out one, or you get an apartment where it's 20 and you stay in one and rent out 19. You see what I'm saying? So it all depends on how you want to look at it. But the goal of the game is what I have learned as an independent owner in a LLC, that we want to own how we make our money. That's important. So keep that in mind. Monday, as you start your day off, you're ready to go, start your grind off or your workout or whatever you got going on this morning. Um, Own how you make your money, rent where you lay your head at starting out. Once you get your bag up, then you can move around. Now, I know some of us have to start renting in different environments first because of our credit may got messed up. This might got messed up. We might didn't pay things on time or whatever. So you're gonna have to correct that on a personal note. But I think like once you get over that hump, or you get someone that can actually help you, assist you, and you can get on your feet. But you have to start. I feel like a guy told me this. I'll never forget this. He said, Joe, how much time they give you? I said, man, I got to do a decade. I was in prison talking to this OG in there. I said, man, I got to do a decade. He said, a decade, huh? He said, well, you're going to do that decade, and it's going to take you another decade to completely get out the situation. But you're going to have to work on it. And I was like, what you mean, 20 years? He was like, you doing time anyway. Life is time, so you can't look at time like, oh man, I got to do this time. You look at this like, okay, I got to invest this to get here. So if it took you so many years to get in a messed up situation, normally what the guy was saying, it's going to take you about that same time to clear up that situation. So it's kind of like once you reverse it, it's going to take that time to get that out your system. We think it, oh man, it's going to be overnight, but nah, it's a process, man. Like I can literally see the difference in who I was from when I first moved to Arizona. Like first moved to Arizona in 2017. When I first moved there to when I, left, which was this year, a few days ago. You know what I mean? So um, I can see a completely change in those 3 years. Like every year, like I changed, like I grew up, I grew up. And one thing I would say for a fact that we we can't be scared of change. I think sometimes we get so caught up with fear of change and fear of being uncomfortable and situations that that we're not familiar with, that I think it kills our growth. Like, it don't allow us to grow the way we should. And I feel like my move going there helped me break a lot of comfort zones because we didn't know anybody. We had to live off of our steam, you know what I mean? We had to figure it out or we wouldn't have survived, you know what I mean? So it got to the point where it was hard, but doors end up open. I had to figure out ways to maintain. Like, I had to look through the loops. So I was like, man, I'm faced with this and this door closing. How can I eat? So I figured out a way to open up a door in the midst of them closing doors. You know, one thing I learned, a person would judge you for who you are, like physically, until they have a need. If they have a need, even though they want to judge you, they'll push that to the side to get their needs met. So if they got a need and they say you coming through and you're fixing or you helping them with that need, they'll push that to the side. And they'll be like, this guy here is okay. You know, I had this thought about this type of people, but I don't feel this way with this guy. He did, you know, I had faced it, man. It's crazy, but it's a reality, man, that we just have to face. And I feel like, you know, we have to understand investments and understand ownership and understand land. Yes, it's important to buy land, but you don't want to run out here and just go buy any type of land. You want to do some research. You know, I know a few gentlemen who had bought land that they actually had to sell and lost money on because they just went and wanted to say that they was landowners. And yeah, it's cool to be a landowner, but what is cool to own some land you can't do nothing with? Like, you got to go through so many permits and this to do something. Say the land costs you, you brag because you got the land for 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000, but it's gonna cost you 50,000 to do anything on the land. You see what I'm saying? So I feel that we just have to do some homework and some investing, and not just money but time, as far as researching and knowing the best move to make. That way we don't look foolish and we don't waste a lot of time and money, and we find investments in rental properties that make sense. You know what I mean? So that way, if you get something that you're going to, make sure it makes sense to you. Make sure it's killing a couple birds with one stone, not just, oh, I live over here, I'm paying this amount. Like, I can't tell you how many people I have met, even in Phoenix, who stay in these nice high-rise condos, apartments, and saying, you know, they brag on what they paying, but they broke, like they barely getting by, but they say, I stay over here though. I stay over here. I'm like, I would rather stay down there than be up there and be like, what I'm doing, I'm broke. Nah, not me. You know what I mean? To each his own. But you know, I think that we have to realize, you know, that, you know, we passing through here, so it's good to, you want to own things for your family. You want to get some real estate. You want to get some ownership. You want to own some things so that way you can live better in this country, because this country is based on finances and commerce and business. So you have to have a business to be good in this country, like point blank period. Or you're gonna be working, feeding the country, and then when you get a need, you're gonna have to hope that the country feels sorry for you and send you a stimulus check or help you out. You know what I mean? But if we grind on our own and we're being independent and we really doing something, we don't have to depend on those things. So I just think we just have to look at things differently and um, actually realize what it's really all about. You know, we have to realize, is it all about the image? You know, there's nothing wrong with looking good, you know, especially for my African American brothers and Spanish brothers and Native American. You know, we like to look good, you know. And me personally, I'm Native American and African American, you know what I mean? So I know my culture. I'm Osage. I'm actually Osage, Cherokee, and African. And I'm mixed with, and I got some Scottish in me. Funny, ain't it? But you know, when you know where you come from and you just know the history of things, like I think about the Trail of Tears and traveling down Route 66 and thinking about how when my native side had to move around, when they left, all they had was you know, they had their horses and the carriages, and some of them was walking, a lot of them was walking, some of them had buggies, you know, and it was just like, I think about life, even when a lot of the blacks left from slavery, a lot of them just took off. Some of them had a few things, had acquired a little income to move around, but others just left, you know what I mean? And traveling now, moving into a different city and, me driving in with my truck and a trailer with our things in it and my wife having her personal, car and we following one another into the city, all that could make me think of was like, dang, it's like the settlers again, the pioneers, or the Trail of Tears. Some people have was forced to move and had to resettle, and we in a situation now, but we actually can move around on our own. So you have to count your blessings, man. Even though you see that times are changing, you have to just take advantage of the times and actually just be happy that you could actually make a move like that. Like I was thinking, like we moved across the country and it would have took some, back then, might would have took a person 6 months, months to get across what we did in 14, I say 16 hours, you know what I mean? 16, 18 hours. So, it's just amazing how time changes things. But I most definitely think that, we need to focus on ownership. And you have to start from somewhere. So, you ain't got to start big, but you got to start from somewhere. And like I said, we got to put our time in. So once you start, it's just going to take some time. So don't just think it's just going to happen overnight. But you got to start today, tonight, or whenever, you know what I mean, to make things happen. So, I really believe that doors can open, avenues can be achieved, but you have to make that move first, man. It is what it is, you know what I mean? But just wanted to say, man, it's very important to own how you make your money, to rent where you lay your head, and then you can go back and buy and be good. Once you want to be in one area. But I would feel like now that I know life is too short to just be trapped in one spot. You want to be able to free to be moving around and be able to do something on your own. You know what I mean? So it's all about trying to get everything established and really see what's going on. So I get it. You know what I mean? So as y'all start y'all day off, man, just be blessed. I witnessed, not fully witnessed, but I'm out here while they was getting the body up or whatever. A guy killed himself, I guess, on a high speed chase, and they put him in handcuffs, and he jumped off the bridge. Whatever reason, life was, was about to get rough for him, I guess, or hopefully, man, I couldn't see myself doing. I don't care what the situation was, but for some reason he felt like life was about to get that rough for him and he didn't want to face it anymore and he killed himself. And honestly, man, I don't want that to happen to us, me, y'all, by no means. You know what I mean? I want to see everybody live long and prosperous. No matter what situation you go through, you might have to go through some bruises and bumps to get over the hump, but you can get over the hump. Don't take your life, man. Hold on.